You've already created an instance of your own class and have seen how static methods work. In this lesson, you'll learn about best practice when working with classes. To begin, open the Shining Stone sample file from your Sample Files folder. And open the code behind file of buy.aspx. We are now going to create a new instance of a data class. The Shining Stone project has a link data class that allows it to communicate with its database. You'll learn how to use the link data class in Lesson 10.3. For now, it's a good class to practice creating and disposing of instances. Add the following code to the button Submit Order Click event handler. Shining Stone data context data equals new Shining Stone data context. This creates a new instance of the Shining Stone data context class called data. Add the following code on the next line. Data.submit changes. This method won't actually do anything at this stage. It's just an example of a method that you might call from the data instance. We are now going to dispose of the data instance. Many classes have a method called Dispose. The Dispose method is used to clear the class from memory. Some classes don't have Dispose methods. This is usually because they don't have any properties that stay in memory. A link data class, like the Shining Stone data context class, can load a lot of data into memory when it is used, so it is good practice to dispose of it as soon as you no longer need it. To do this, add the following line of code on the next line. Data.dispose. This will remove the data instance from memory. If you were to try to work with the data instance after this line, you would cause an exception. As well as disposing of instances using the Dispose method, you can use a using statement to automatically dispose of an instance. Note that working with using statements inside your code is different to the using statements at the top of your page. To start with, remove the code you added to the button Submit Order Click event handler. Now replace it with the following. Using, begin brackets, Shining Stone data context, data equals new Shining Stone data context, end brackets, begin curly brackets, data.submit changes, end curly brackets. This does exactly the same thing as calling the Dispose method, but is much easier to understand and work with. The using statement creates the data instance and then automatically disposes of it after the last curly bracket. Note that C# has a garbage collector that automatically disposes of objects that are no longer in scope. In this case, for example, the C# garbage collector would always dispose of the data instance after the button Submit Order Click event handler was finished, since it wouldn't be usable anymore. Despite this, it's always best to dispose of instances where possible, since the garbage collector doesn't always clean up memory immediately. Close Visual Studio now, saving your changes if prompted. You've now completed Lesson 6.10, Create and Dispose of Instances.